Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Acton, Maine Selectmen's meeting for October 23rd, 2019. First item is salute the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Town Administrator Weekly Update. The floor is yours, Jen.
Thank you. How does November 20th at 2 o'clock sound for a staff meeting? It's a Wednesday. It's a mutual day that everybody is here. It's the week before Thanksgiving. Obviously, we have the election at the beginning of the month. The assessor comes on the 13th. Thanksgiving is the last week, so it should be in the middle. So
November
closing,
20th?
yeah, closing at 2 shouldn't affect the townspeople too much.
That's fine with me.
Time's that?
2 o'clock.
Should work fine.
I don't schedule that far out, so I'm gonna have to make sure it's fine.
Kim has in her hands the certified letter that went to T.G. Higgins from the town's attorney. It essentially is really a copy and pasted of all the things that I requested in the last email. He sent it to her certified on their letterhead. So we'll continue to chip away at that battle, see if he gets a response. Warren and Finance, I'm going to talk to you guys about the furnace, and that's going to come up, but I was able to get a hold of the chair, and he scheduled a meeting for 6 o'clock on Thursday, so that's scheduled and in place. Everybody's been notified. We moved the Girl Scouts, and we moved the interview to Monday at 6 o'clock. The commission will meet Monday at 6. The applicant will come in at 6:30. Give the members a time to just catch up for a few minutes. So next packet that I'm giving you, there's a cover letter and then a letter stapled, so. I got a certified letter in the mail today from Drummond and Woodsum in regards to an interlocal agreement between the active school department and the School Maine Administrative Collaborative. Even after reading it, I really didn't know what it was. So I reached out to the superintendent who sent the email. If you want to just kind of go over it, that's what he says it is. Did you guys all should have gotten one? There should be 3 copies there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there's enough for everybody.
Sorry.
They're gonna read it to us, Ed.
So there was,
Oh,
One's got a cover.
that's a cover letter.
That's the original.
Okay, there we go.
So,
Oh,
so the email is from the superintendent, kind of explaining what it is. I asked him to put that in writing for you. And then the 2 pages is a copy of the agreement.
is this anything they've done before, or is it?
Not that I'm aware of, but it's, as I understand it, they've just joined SMAC as a regional service center that's allowed pursuant to the statute that its purpose of developing, managing, and providing regional services to benefit school systems. So he basically joined this, and by joining, you have to benefit with. You have to benefit by using at least 2 of the services, and you can see that he put down here, the benefits of the interlocal agreement for Acton was cost saving on transportation and the sharing purchasing power of the copiers and printers, those are the agreements, and then that earns the increased state subsidy for being as part of the regional school center. So he said you can read over all of it if you have any questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Thought you had a copy of it.
If you guys have any questions, we could always bring them in next week, but
Okay.
the school,
I feel like they talked about this.
yeah, and the school committee had the authority to enter into it. It's not a contract or anything. It's just you don't need to do anything. It's just informational. If I get it, you get it.
Bottom line, doesn't cost the town anything. If anything, it's gonna save them.
It saves,
Yeah.
it saves you money, right, because you've
Yeah.
got the lower numbers and you get more state subsidy.
Sure.
Just informational. Maine Municipal is having a Freedom of Information class on 12/12 in Freeport. If it's something, I just went to one less than 6-7 months ago, so I'm not due, but if anybody's interested. She's basically gonna go over how to handle those requests.
Are you the only one that handles them here? Or
Yes.
nobody else does that would need to go? Okay.
I mean, you're welcome to, but,
Stuff from the, building.
Yeah.
Oh,
Dennis is here.
so.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to point you out. Didn't mean to point you out, Dennis. Sorry, go ahead.
So this is just for us to kind of spend 5 or 10 minutes going over. This isn't anything I want to release to the public. I literally, as you guys know, I was just working on this. Just trying to get an idea of how and what changes we're looking for Article
okay.
43. So obviously, the road association name, contact person, phone number, email, date submitted to the town, because we want to mark it, date Board of Reviews, the Board of Selectmen reviewed. And then what I was gonna kind of go down and through, because as I understand it, we're not looking to change the, what's required. We just want to, beside the ones that they have to say yes to, we want them to attach and label
Their proof.
the documentation, correct?
Yes.
So if I make those minor changes to the front, to the first few pieces, really it gets down to the beginning, so, to the end. So number 5, so I think 5 and 6 are kind of what we need to talk about, because before that is all gonna be required. Supporting document for the cost of the repairs is provided, paid invoices with description of work done after 7/1/18. So my first question is the board on the same page in regards to, we're gonna do this in more of a grant method, and we're gonna change that wording to kind of reflect, provide an estimate for the work to be done?
That's what I like to see. I think that's what, like our auditor had mentioned the same thing. That, you
She
know,
did.
Even earlier than that, it was mentioned that we.
Well, it was
do
mentioned
as
by
a
your
grant.
attorney.
Right, our attorney, which
Attorney
I don't know
also.
how we veered from that, but
So we'll change that wording, looking for a quote for the work. So you want
Just
a
a quote,
specific description of the work that's gonna be done? And quotes, how many quotes are you looking for?
Originally, when when we were talking about it, I was saying, maybe they ought to have a couple quotes, but the unfortunate part about it is a lot of these road associations, including, all the roads that I used to work on, they had one contractor that did all their work, and, so it really wouldn't be fair to those contractors to have them go on a price, as long as it, they can show proof of why it's gonna cost. That's why, I don't believe there should be any more than the ones that they feel they should be doing
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Alright, so
we're
it's-
not approving the contractor.
No,
We're just
right.
approving,
yeah.
the money, that's all.
I would think that, it seems we have a cap on it right now, that any association that would be going out getting prices would do their due diligence and make sure they're not getting squeezed anyways, because it's only gonna affect them.
Exactly.
And am I to understand that, so even if they had a project that did qualify, that you guys decided qualified, it was 4,000, they could still do it and only get reimbursed for the 3,000, right?
That's it, right. yeah.
Right.
So specific description for the work to be done, a quote for the work to be,
For the cost of the
Right.
repairs.
what else do you want to see on there as far as?
Well, I mean, I think in the last couple of weeks, what I've mentioned is, we're making departments do, an itemized list of what they're doing. Cost of materials, this and that, da-da-da-da. And, honestly, any quote, you're gonna have that anyways. And so, I mean, it's only fair to, they're gonna be receiving these funds. A grant, you would have to put down some sort of reason why the cost is gonna be what it is. So, just an itemized list of cost of materials and,
So if we say that the quote has to have all the, an itemized listing of cost of materials?
because, honestly, at the end of the day, the job could be a $15,000 job.
Right.
But as long as they have down, it's costing $15,000, we're only reimbursing $3,000. It's not, it really is no pain on us.
Right.
But at least it shows that
Yes, we have the
the homework's
documentation.
been done, we're just not giving out $3,000 and the contractor's just getting whatever. So it makes for better, bookwork, I believe.
And if we're processing this as a grant, so, I mean, we're kind of in the middle of the fiscal year now, so, are we going to be, you know, so, when we use a grant, there's generally a deadline tied to it on our end, but there's not going to be, they can apply at any time, right?
Yeah, I would say they could apply anytime. 'cause-
Yeah, I mean, I would think they could apply any time, and also, we ought to have a deadline, for the simple reason is, if, say, because, right now, it's not like the account keeps replenishing.
Not unless you put another warrant
So,
article on.
But right now, say, I don't know, I haven't looked to see what's left in the account right now, but say there's $30,000 in it, by coming in and giving your estimate and then giving the approvals, okay, at least say, you know, more roads jump in and all that, at least we have an idea of how long that money's gonna last before, you know, and then if anybody else throws in on it, we know they're gonna get paid out. But if, say, somebody comes in, gets approved for it and doesn't do the job until next spring, you know,
Can we put a
Money can
time
be
limit?
gone.
Yep, so you
on,
want
like,
to, yep, so you
you
want to
know-
put a, so if the date, so do we want to say somehow that
The work has to be done
within, the work has to be
months or
done
something?
within so many days of the Board of Selectmen approving it?
I would say months.
That's what I was gonna say, like 3
Like 3
months or
months?
something? Would you
I-
agree? That
Yeah.
way, in case it's
That's
rainy
typically-
or snow or whatever.
You know, so that way there, if you get the approval, say in April, you know, you have most of the summer to do your job. And if not, maybe even giving them a chance to do an extension due to whatever, you know, say the contractor didn't show up.
Don't know if we could do that, though, where the funds expire at the end of the fiscal year.
Well, they roll
don't
over though.
expire.
Okay, they roll over,
Yeah.
okay.
So you wouldn't have to worry about
But
that.
the thing is, if we're able to do an extension, we can, say, not grant the extension because, say, some other people have put in for it.
Right.
And say it starts getting to that point where there's not a lot of money left and, well, this road put in for it, we have to give them a chance though, because you didn't do it in your time frame. So, you know, put something where extensions could be done, you know, if needed,
Okay.
by the approval of, you know, the board.
Right.
You could.
Yeah, so essentially if you
Also,
approve
by
them, it'll
having
work.
these dates when they come in too, we should go by whoever came in first to
Right.
get monies.
Yeah.
You know, when it's getting down, I mean.
It is gonna, I mean, it's gonna take a while. That was approved in
Right.
June of 18. We
But
only
just,
paid out
you know.
3, so there's still 41,000 in there.
We should go in order, that's all. I just
So
wanna
if we say that the board approves on such and such date, you have 90 days to complete the project and submit the pay, you know, submit for reimbursement.
Yeah, and
That-
if, just say, okay, their contractor, the person they get, comes back to, you know, they give them the estimate and everything, and we say 90 days, and he says, oh, I can't get there for 4 months, all they have to do is come see us, and,
Well, usually at that point in time, most roads will go and find somebody else at that point too, so.
Okay,
Gives them
so
a
that's-
chance, so they still got some leeway. But that's why I figure if we also put in an extension, you know, we could do an extension if need be.
I just think the extension's good too, that's all.
All right, let me present something for you for next week. I guess so the biggest question is gonna be, what are we gonna do with, we have 2, and you're gonna see tonight, we have a third. We have 3 on there that, you know, didn't realize that we were gonna be making the change, that going forward, you know, this is work that is to be done, not work that has been done. And you have 3 that you have approved based on that, so, you know, you've got 3 more. You've got 3 that are gonna be sitting in here that you have to decide, are we gonna send it back with the new form and tell them they've lost any opportunity? Are we going to review it with that bottom being the exception to just these 3 and making a public statement that, you know, effective this date, you know, we're
That's
no
what I think
longer,
we should do.
it has to be
Probably.
work going forward,
Yeah, I
not
would think we'd
backwards.
have to do that.
Yeah, because, I mean, they're going by
Yeah.
what we told them they had to do, and as long
What
as.
was accepted, right. And
as
it doesn't
long
mean
as
they
the
have to be
work-
approved, but at least you have to look
Right.
at them in that sense to see
Right.
if they
Right.
are
Yeah, I just feel
maintenance
that
versus.
Yeah, and we can go back and ask any question we want
Right.
as well.
Okay.
So,
Right.
there
All right,
was 9
so-
used, there's 41
Yeah,
left.
41, yeah.
So,
All right, so I'll make some changes and we'll keep working on that for next week, but, and then we'll deal with these new ones under new business.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. May I have that back? Oh, sorry. My folder organized.
So we got the date.
Okay, so do you remember, I don't know, a few weeks back, we had a gentleman that was so kind to want to make some minor, do some minor cleanups of the cemetery stones out front here? Remember that, Ed? And we talked about, okay.
Yep.
So, he came and he did that, he cleaned them up real nice, they look nice, the cemetery, one of the members of the cemetery committee, or prior members, Steve, met him and I met here, and he showed us what he had done, and it looks really nice, and I told him how appreciative you guys were. He'd like to cut some trees now, and,
Out here?
yes. Well, not, let me rephrase that. He doesn't want to cut, he doesn't want to cut the trees. He wants to trim some limbs. In looking at them, and I'm speaking to Michelle, who oversees our insurance, it's not really
Yeah.
recommended,
Yeah.
but I don't want to tell him that without speaking to you first.
Oh, can't we have him, why don't we have him mark off the limbs that, put a ribbon around them?
And
See
we
when
could
he
get-
gets done, and maybe,
Or we can have District 1
yeah.
take care of it.
Pick 'em up and
If
take
it's
care of it.
limbs, they ought to be able to take care of that.
Yeah, they were limbs, but they were, I mean, some of them were good size, and so I'll let him we'll see if we can get him to mark them, and then
Yeah.
you guys can okay it, because a
Just
couple of them were
have him
fairly
Take some
big.
like orange or pink ribbon.
Yep.
Yeah, just mark what he thinks.
Don't paint them or anything, just hang some ribbon on it so we know which ones they
Okay.
are.
Okay. So the Forest Committee has scheduled their walk. I did tell them, David, based on the time of day and the short notice, you probably wouldn't be able to attend, but they want to put it out there to the public as well. Caught confirmation from the new committee members that 2 PM on Thursday, tomorrow, they're going to walk the town farm lot. He's going to post it, and I guess I've posted in a couple of places. Anybody that's interested, it's just kind of an FYI for the new members, and he looks forward to
The
seeing you.
meeting right down there at the town farm road.
Yeah, 2 o'clock, if anybody's in the area, but again, the new members just want to see when he was in today, we did talk about a couple other things as well. He had a concern about, one of the members on his committee has yet to be sworn in, so we're following the legal process on that. Sometimes people get elected from June, and we don't know that they aren't interested. My office sends them numerous letters.
But they've been going to meetings.
No, he's just never come in, but it's an elected position, so it's dealt with a little differently, so we're working that out, so he may or may not have an opening. And then the other conversation him and I had was regarding the Hebo Hibo, we did the management plan, was it on Hebo Hibo last year? Was it the Hebo Hibo?
No, it was on the
No,
farm.
where did he
The
do that
town-
management plan?
Town farm road.
Town farmer, okay,
Yeah, the one
sorry.
walking.
So, his question was, so the town, there was a warrant article that appropriated the money, and the money was spent, the management plan was done. So the question is, does it have to go back to the voters to enforce the plan, or is that something the board can do? So, I've sent that over to legal with the article and let them decide. So he may or may not be coming back to you.
I spoke to him the other night, and he had some questions about, about that, and whether or not later on down the road, an article, they were talking about maybe putting forward an article there that might, some of the proceeds from the work, being, the wood process and all that, maybe going into a conservation account or something like that. They may be coming to us about something like that.
Yeah, and him and I, we discussed that as well, and the article was already written and approved that way, that anything left over, and he didn't realize that, so that was probably before I spoke to him, but we pulled the article, and it does say that anything less, like the 3,000 that was for the management plan, if it didn't spend all of it, it goes back in the forestry reserve, and any profits off of that cut go back in there. So that was already taken
That's
care of,
right.
so he seemed happy once we pulled the article.
Good.
One of the things that we had planned on last budget season, or last year, as we planned for this year's budget season, is a new computer downstairs. Ken and I have been chatting about that and talking about what exactly he needs. Currently, the deputy code enforcement officer is using a laptop in that area that he also uses out in the field. We did budget for the computer, so we're gonna move forward with getting that. We're gonna move his computer into her office, because it's set up just the way she likes it now. And him and I will work on getting him one to replace it, so. Gotten a few calls about this $100 reimbursement for homestead. Have you guys heard about this yet? Okay,
Heard
so,
about it, yeah.
and please don't call me, I mean about this, call me about anything else, but, but I don't know any more than I'm gonna tell you tonight. So, what the state of Maine, as I understand it, the current government in Maine, what they're saying in a press release is what they heard from the voters is that they want more tax reform. They want money back in your pocket and my pocket. So one of the things they're doing with the Treasury is they're giving every person that has a homestead exemption as of April 1st of 2019, $100. Now, I don't know yet if that means I get 100 and my husband get 100, where we live in the same home, or if the Rubes get $100. I don't know those details. But what I do know is that our assessor was contacted by the Maine Treasury and was asked for a list of everybody that got a homestead as of April 1st, and those checks they have confirmed from the Treasury will be going out. I don't know when, so please don't bank on it, it'll be a surprise.
I believe it's, the homestead's usually one individual in the home, I believe, so.
Yeah. I'm gonna think positive. I think we're both gonna get ours. I mean, I'm gonna take it anyways and hide it, I mean, yeah. $100, so that's good. I mean, something, so anyways. That, we've gotten a lot of calls on that, so that's all we know about it, for now. So I brought you some goodies over here. What do you think? So that last week, Jim Driscoll came in and, talked to you guys. So he brought a ton of dual mittens, hats. There are lots of, jackets, nice fleece warm jackets, and lots of different sizes, in my office. Please come in and take them. If the size isn't there that you would like, we will get you one. And at the same time, we had a donation of beans from someone else, and I am so sorry that I can't think of the beautiful, kind couple that brought these to me, and I'll think of it as soon as the meeting is over. But essentially, they came to me 2 or 3 weeks ago and said that they were part of an organization that helped with food, and they had a lot of beans left over. And wanted to know if I thought I could find a home for the beans. They're all within their expiration date, so that's the good news. So when I said to him, where exactly did these beans come from? He said the federal government. He said that they gave each food pantry, I guess every so many months, they just beans. So we have so many different kinds of beans, chick beans, kidney beans, what is this
I think
bean?
you got every kind of.
Black beans. I mean, I didn't even bring them all out, but my hallway is filled with beans.
Navy, lentil.
So, everybody that came in today for a transaction left with beans, and I'm hoping that all of you will leave with beans as well. So yeah, so it was really nice. I mean, they're all still good, and
Great.
yeah, beans.
Beans for days.
Okay. This is a little packet, you can look over and review. So the treasurer got notified of a lawsuit that may or may not involve all municipalities in the state of Maine. It's quite detailed if you go through and read through it. It essentially breaks down to municipalities suing in regards to the opiate crisis that's going on. So because the towns are individually named, we sent the information over to Burke and Clegg, and he sent an email over basically telling Michelle not to file for the exclusion, that the lawsuit is set to recover damages for governments that were caused by the opiate crisis, that if Acton doesn't file, then we don't gain anything, we don't have the resources to sue, and as far as we know, it's really not, an issue in there, but Michelle wanted you to see it nevertheless, so we're not going to act on that unless you tell us differently. Last item I have is just a recap, or just make sure that we're, with new selectmen, things sometimes change, in regards to the budget and how the treasurer and I handle things and how you actually see them working. So we know, and we'll use the town clerk's budget, for example, as not to, discuss anyone else's budget. So let's just say that the budget is $100,000 for the sake of round numbers. And let's say that 60,000 of those are salaries, and then 40,000 of those have, on town floor, the $100,000 is what's appropriated. You have an itemized budget, and you know that 60,000 is salaries, you know that 10,000 is legal fees, 5,000 is supplies, training. So the question is what is your wish in regards to, let's say that my salary line, my equipment line is $1,000. And my training line is $2,000. And maybe I've been buying supplies all year long and I go over the 1,000. Now my bottom line of 100,000 is not negative, so I know that's okay. But are you looking for department heads to get permission from the Board of Selectmen when one line goes negative before they go into another line?
I'm not.
You're not.
I'm just worried about the bottom line.
You're only worried about the bottom line.
I mean, it's up to the
Assuming it
department
doesn't
head to-
affect salaries, because
Yep.
the department heads don't have the
Yep.
authority to do that, okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's up to the department head to spend their budget responsibly,
Okay,
and if they go over, then
So you're okay with,
For a new department head.
okay,
So,
David?
I mean, that's the big thing
Yeah.
to me,
Well,
so,
I mean,
Kinda
in
like it
theory,
more.
you know, that's where it should be.
Yep.
Is whether or not we're making any other departments do it, you know, because we are. We're making the road department kind of do the same thing, aren't we?
as far as,
No,
well, the road department, I wouldn't say it's line item, the road department's probably closer to doing a, what do you call it?
Well,
We'll get back to you.
The road department
I mean, we're
has,
kinda-
you know, it used to be set up there, you know, highways and bridges, and then you had your winter and this and that.
Right.
But, you know, you had your paving separate, and we used to, you know, if we needed some more for paving, we'd pull it out of this, or we'd pull it back out. We don't let them do that anymore. So it's the same idea.
Yeah, true.
So what I'm thinking is if we're gonna make one department do it, all the
We make all the
departments should be doing
departments
it.
like across the board.
And, I mean, I don't think
Even
it's a
like-
big deal if you're doing your budgeting, which it's awful hard to do a line item budget, especially with the road department's wicked hard, because
Right.
you don't know what your you know, it's like, okay, transfer station's easy. You know the guy's gonna put in 30 or 40 hours a week, you know, pretty
Right.
much what your, that's gonna be. Your supplies, you know, on average, you should have a pretty good clue. But say Bob has, I think it's $4,000 in his line item for supplies, and he needs, you know, another extra 1,000. You know, if he feels he can pull it out of a different line item, that's fine. But it's not really a big deal for him to come in here and say, okay, hey, I got $1,000, and you pull a different line item and get his blessings, just like we do the road department.
Right, and the fire department, to
Or
use the
any
fire
other-
department as a little bit of an example, so we know that there's been some shifting there because of the salary changes and so forth, but the interim chief has essentially asked for permission so like when we talk about this boiler tonight, you know, we're gonna know that he's gonna need to pull money out of there. And that's really the big question is, do you know, the treasurer needs to know if,
Well, I think
If-
at the end of the day, say the new fire chief comes in and he's got all these lineups, so he's obviously coming in on somebody else's budget.
Right.
And those numbers may not be quite what he wants to see, and he's gonna have the opportunity to the next budget season to put in the way he needs to be, but if, for some reason, you know, he's gonna pull money out of this line item to pay out this line item here, it would be better for that fire chief to come to us to make that way there, at the end of the day, if you start seeing 3,000 from this line, I'm gonna pull from here, there, it would cover him
And
at the same time.
And us.
and I tend to agree that just from the management point, I mean, if I look at it from my Shapley seat, I mean, you do put that responsibility on the department heads, you're right, but if I'm gonna go over legal, or I'm gonna go over supplies, something that bad, I mean, I feel like that, the only way you're gonna know, because the treasurer's only gonna go to the bottom line,
Right.
unless you tell her differently, and that's kinda how we're going, you know, we're heading with a couple of departments. So, you know, she doesn't know where do you want her to notify you? I mean, and they may have the budget, and it may be fine, just like Bob with his hires last year, we had the money somewhere else, but he still came to you.
Right.
So that's really just the thing. I mean, is she to allow them to spend as long as the bottom line is fine? I mean, you also don't want your department heads moving money from one area to the other without discussing it with you.
And we have discussed a lot of those.
Yeah, no,
And-
you had,
And
right,
it's been a one-on-one informal.
Yeah.
It hasn't been here,
right.
you know?
I think
But we
it's
don't have
more
the workshop
transparency.
anymore.
Yeah.
They're gonna
Yeah.
come up here and say, hey,
Okay.
you know, our boiler blew up, we like to pull out of this line, on this line, on this line item.
Yeah, instead of just
Okay,
going in.
and we're gonna sacrifice here, we're gonna not do this, not do that, because we need this money. It's better for everybody, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're
I don't
probably
wanna
not, and you're probably not
micromanage
gonna,
everybody.
and you're not gonna
Right,
see many, Ed. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, when the conversation came up with Michelle and I today, and she's like, they can do that, I'm like, oh, I mean, you're not gonna see many. I mean, once in a blue moon, and code enforcement may go over on the supplies towards the very, very end of the year, because, some things may be coming up, but 90% of your budgets we stay within those lines. I mean, we have those there for a reason. So you're not gonna see many, I just wanted clarification on how the current board felt.
Purchase order is what I was trying to think of earlier. Purchase order is what I was trying to think of earlier.
I'm not
And
much
that's
on purchase
And that's
orders.
kind of what we've been doing with the roads,
Yeah,
Yeah, they come.
they come, give us a budget on what a project is, we approve it, and off they go.
well, that's
Right.
different than a
So,
purchase
but
order.
it's similar,
I mean, a purchase order is when you go to purchase somewhere, you
Oh,
have to
yeah.
have a PO number and all
Yeah.
that other stuff.
yeah, but I mean, that's exactly what that is without the number,
Yeah,
so,
you're
yeah,
allowing the money to be spent.
right,
Yeah.
okay.
But even
Yeah.
by knowing, if the supplies are going over, it gives you a heads up in your mind too of next year when they ask for that increase, because we should
I
be.
think it's a good
No,
idea.
yeah, future
Yeah,
think is great.
and-
And like I said, you're not gonna see many of them, I just wanna make sure that we're on the
Yeah.
same
Right.
page, so, okay. All right, so take a look at the budget, I mean, not the budget, no, we're talking budgets. Actually, no, I got one more thing. We need town report. So, yeah, we should be working on that by now. So we're gonna send out a memo that's gonna say, and I know we say this every year, and some year we're gonna stick to it. We're gonna put a deadline and then we're gonna stick to it. We're gonna ask for the letters, so we can start comprising that. I need you guys to start thinking about off-camera, the,
Dedication.
recipient of the dedication. I have a couple ideas for you, looking back to
I
19.
have a question about those.
Ma'am?
I know they're big, and do you ever used to do like half that size? Was it cheaper to do half the size?
From a binding standpoint, I'm not sure if it's cheaper. I mean, over the years, if you look at the difference, we just put a lot more information in it.
And I figured that was why you probably did jump up to bigger ones, but I
I
just
mean, that was
didn't know.
before my time, but I'm assuming that's why. But if you look at the
I
reports.
just found an old one when I
30,
was
yeah,
cleaning.
30
and I'm
years
like, How
ago.
come we don't do them that?
We
you
put a
know?
lot of stuff in there that we don't have to.
Okay.
I mean, it is a requirement to do a town report, but there is minimal of what needs to go in there.
Okay.
I think that, we can probably this year cut our ordering in
I
half
was
and
gonna say,
put it
how did we do
electronically.
last? Okay.
We have a lot.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
And one of our biggest problems, I mean, speaking candidly, is the time frame. I mean, our fiscal year ended June 30th. We're lucky to go out to print by December, January, if we get all the reports in. So by the time the town reports come out, they're a year old.
Yeah.
So that's a problem as well. So if today is the 23rd, what kind of deadline would you like to see for these letters? For their department submissions?
End of November, is that
December 15th, give them a month and a half.
December 15th, yeah?
Yeah.
Can we shoot for like November 15th?
I
It
was
gives
just
them a
gonna say,
month.
yeah, that gives them a month.
Okay,
Whatever you want.
Oh, I mean, because A, we know we're gonna give them a little more time if they don't make it, let's face it.
Right, so it'd be better to
B, at least I
start.
could start typing it, you know what I mean? I really like to get it to print before the holidays.
okay.
Okay.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
already a few months old.
Yep.
In some departments, like treasurer and code enforcement, probably have theirs ready to just hit send, so. All right, we'll see what we can do about that.
No.
All right, so now we can look at the agenda. So, full business, Article 43 is gonna be the new applications that we have.
Yep.
Got a couple of, planning board resignations we're gonna talk about. We're gonna scratch Wilkins Road, because we're gonna put that under old business, because it's Article 43. Wow, who does this agenda? Resignations is off. You know what happens is that, like, tomorrow, somebody will come in and say, can you put this on the agenda, and I just keep.
Yep.
Policies we're gonna talk about, fire department
Yep.
furnace, we're gonna talk about Emery Mills Dam.
You have something new on the dam?
Yes,
Okay,
I do.
okay.
I got a bill that's gonna require a special town meeting.
Oh, good, okay. Okay.
Anything else you wanna add?
Nope, I'm all set.
Maybe I'll move the dam up to old business, okay.
Okay,
I'll go change that up real quick.
okay. You signed these, did you?
Already signed.
You signed these?
I
Actually,
gotta do one of them. I did the payroll, but I gotta do that one.
didn't sign the top pages right here. I
Good sign.
right out of time. Not right here.
Oh,
Is this one signed? Did I sign that one? Yeah, okay, these are the ones I didn't sign right here. I put them on the top, or she just kicked me out of the office.
yeah, you gotta put that one too.
I haven't heard from the kids all week.
And they
And
call you
all
tonight.
three of them have called since I've been sitting here. Seriously?
Here, I'll give you that one to start
Okay,
with.
that sounds good. Put me right to work.
I figured I was doing the public a favor by signing them early.
There you go. These won't take very long anyway.
Contract costs.
The schools with the green packet.
Take those with that. Yeah, I'd just like to know who authorized the write-off.
Yeah. Looks like they took it upon themselves.
I hope that's what it is.
Doesn't look like any selectman before us signed something.
No.
She said whatever
The only time I can remember doing a write-off was when I was on the board of the ambulance.
and she said in the contract it didn't say they were allowed to do that, so.
Thank you, ma'am.
Whole pile here if you wanna get started on them. I'm still working on it. I'm getting there.
These are all done?
Yep.
With that place, Monday. Up in Concord.
What's that?
Well, I'm not gonna call it twice in a row, you know,
I think it's somebody important.
love it.
They've got Sanford numbers now, and
That one was from Augusta. 5 minutes ago, it was from, some other towns way up north. I get about 7 or 8 of them a day.
well, I've been trying to start blocking them. It seems to help a little bit, but,
It'll come up, scam risk,
oh, it is? Yep.
Yeah.
Do you have
50% of the time as well.
a list of who we put in the town report over the last maybe 10 years?
Yep, I can print you off a
I know
list.
the last couple, but.
So you'd like to see 10 years worth?
So, start thinking about that, right?
Is that what it is?
Yep. The rest of them in there.
Yeah. I'm set with them.
Excuse me.
Okay. Those are all set. Let's get those back over.
Oh, Waterville, there must be another one.
Okay, warrants assigned, approval of the agenda we did, minutes of the last meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of October 23rd.
23rd, that's today.
Oh,
That would be
jeez,
today.
One more. October 16th.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes of October 16th. Any further discussion? Call for a vote. All in favor? All opposed?
Just rushing this month along.
Okay, department heads, committee chair updates.
Will England District 1. Monday morning, we finished up at the dump, so the ditching is all done and we seeded Monday morning, so that's all done. The rain didn't wash anything away, so,
Good.
so we're good there. And also, last Thursday afternoon, I met with a gentleman down at West Shore Drive from Ransom Engineering about the culvert down there. And he threw around some ideas, and he's gonna come up with a sketch plan. He's not gonna charge us for the sketch plan unless we go forward with it. Oh, yeah, it's right there. You know, if we go forward with wanting to apply, this all goes around with applying for that grant to get it changed. It's like a matching grant for $95,000. We'd have to match, it's a matching grant, so whatever, you know, the cost would be to do the culvert or replace it, we just,
Up to 95?
it's up to $95,000, I believe, and we'd have to match, whatever the rest of the price would be. He was gonna, when he sends over this sketch, he was gonna try to do some rough numbers of what it'd be. I mean, he couldn't name anything off the top of his head that day. That day, so that's where we are right now. So and the other thing too, I'm kinda coming to you guys saying if this is something, and we could even do this year, or we're gonna have to wait. I mean, he said it doesn't matter. If we gotta wait, you gotta wait. He deals with this all the time. But I mean, I'm just gonna bring it to you guys and see what you think. So I can just tell him and let him know.
So the letter that you have in front of you says that, just so the public knows, it says that, based on the review of the site and the effort to prepare the application, we are anticipating the following fee for the culvert crossing, $3,000. If you'd like us to prepare this grant application, let us know.
So they would actually do the grant
Yeah,
application?
his company would, write the grant and do everything for us, and with the sketch design, that'd include the $3,000, and then writing the sketch design, because you have to, according to the chair of the road committee, for us to apply for that grant, we need a sketch design from engineer, and then you need that actual, like, grant writer, or if we can't do it, you can hire a grant writer to do it, so
Probably have
he
better
would do
luck
it
getting
for
the
us.
grant.
Yeah, the grant writers are pretty good, I know.
Do you have any idea if you guys decide to move forward with this, when the deadline to apply for the grant is, and then how long it is? Because that may make a difference of what fiscal year.
That's why I kind of was gonna come ask you guys about if that's even something you guys want to remotely think about moving forward with or not. I told him, I said, I don't know, I was gonna talk to you guys about it tonight and see if that's,
Well, I mean,
I guess we need to find out when the deadline is.
The deadline of the grant is huge, and then if it's approved, how long do you have to come up with your half of the money?
Right.
Your portion of the money, because if
Then
it's,
we'd have to go
if
out
the
to-
deadline is, let's say next June, you may not even be able to make it. So no sense to spend the money if you're not gonna make the
Exactly.
deadline, so that's kind of a piece of it, if you're even interested.
$3,000, it's just gonna come out of his account.
Yeah,
I was
most
just gonna
likely,
say,
yeah.
where would that
Yeah,
come
come out
out
of the roads
So, I
account,
mean, this is a
Okay.
decision there that,
yeah.
I mean,
You feel like you have it?
yeah, I have it, yeah.
I figure you do, but
Yeah.
you think this is a good idea,
I mean,
go ahead forward with it.
yeah, I mean, but just the biggest thing is if we can match it, if we were to do something, if we can even match that, what is, the cost is gonna be, if we can even match it this year.
I guess maybe we need to
I
get some
mean,
numbers
there's a
first.
Chance we may not get the grant anyways, so, I mean, it's,
Right.
but at the same time, if they're gonna do the grant writing and everything else, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's a better shot than having people who don't do it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Do they
know-
do all of that for the 3,000, or is
Yeah,
it?
that's what he said. I was gonna talk to him some more, but it's what it,
Yeah, I mean, that's what the letter says.
Can you get a description of exactly what he's gonna do for the $3,000?
yeah, I was gonna call him tomorrow, and I'll call him and get a
You can get also a date of what the deadline is and all that, so we have
Okay.
an idea, because, I mean, you don't wanna throw $3,000 in your budget. at something
Exactly.
that
Right,
is
Yeah.
just gonna get blown away in the
Yeah,
wind,
exactly.
So,
That's what I told him too. I said, wait until I talk to him tomorrow. But yeah, I'll get all that info and,
because it sounds to me like
Like they're gonna write it,
$3,000
yeah.
to have a grant
Yeah.
writer and all that, that sounds good to me.
and he said that he's willing to work with us anyway. If we have to wait, he's willing to wait or whatever. I mean, and this is all this guy does, is this what he does. He's doing actually one in York, similar to the one on West Shore Drive in York right now. So, I mean, he's all for it if we are. He's willing to help us come in, do a presentation if we want. I talked to him for quite a
This
while.
is just for the grant writing, though. His company doesn't do the work.
No, his company's just the engineer, then they go out to
Right,
bid for
okay.
like Shaw Brothers or to somebody to a bigger scale to do the dirt work portion of it.
They'll give an idea
Yeah.
of excavation costs,
Yeah.
most engineers
he's
will do that, then what
finding
you
the
do is you
grants.
end up putting it out to bid.
Exactly, that's what he says, that company goes out to bid for it, exactly.
So why don't we chat in the morning, and I'll help you come up with some questions, some specific questions for him, and you can give him a call, and then we'll bring it
Okay.
back to the board.
All right.
Sound
Sounds
good?
good.
Yep.
Sounds good.
I'm good, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other department heads, committee chairs? Okay. Old business, Emery Mills Dam.
It's from your treasurer. So, from top to bottom, you can essentially see what we have for available funding for this project, how much it's going to be, less the three towns' shares. Sanford's is 50%, obviously Acton and Shapley is 25. So our total share is gonna be $90,395 and change. Portion of the reserve with the 5,000 she subtracted, and what we appropriated last year, well, this year, is 75,000. So we need $20,395.42. And I will let you know next week what date you need that by.
Okay.
The project isn't done yet, correct?
Correct. So we don't have a final bill or anything.
Right,
So
right.
there's no sense in going
I
to
w-
special
yeah, I
town
wouldn't-
meeting until.
I wouldn't-
No, you've got some time.
Yeah, I wouldn't do anything until we have the final,
Yeah, final bill.
yep. 'Cause I haven't gotten any updates from what's going on down there, so, which they haven't sent out, they wouldn't send out anything quite yet, so.
Yeah, the last email we got was saying that it was gonna be done November 26th.
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah, all done by, yeah.
Which one of you talked to the lady with the well?
I did.
David, okay, yeah.
I did.
We talked
And
about it
I,
yesterday.
I spoke to a lady living down on 12th Street, and her concern was she was out of water. And unfortunately, if you got a point,
Yeah.
you're sucking out of the lake.
Yep.
There's nothing we can do at that point. Her issue was, she says her boiler, she didn't want to turn her boiler on, and I tried to explain to her that most boilers are concealed unit, but her son was a plumber to make sure she calls. But
Yep.
at the end of the conversation, pretty much explained to her there that the town of Sanford, this is something they're doing, they own the dam, they have to fix the dam, because if the dam don't get fixed, then there could be less water in the future in the lake.
Exactly, lots
So,
less,
But
Yeah.
it was nothing, I guess there's a bunch of
Yeah.
people down in 12th and other roads that have the same
Oh.
issues,
Problems,
but
yeah.
her concern was she thought it should be done in April, not in October, and I explained to her there
No.
that in April, obviously we get the
Water's-
highest, that's where the water's the highest.
yeah.
And,
You gotta get rid of more water. It's still going down the same level.
Yeah, and most of
Yeah.
the people there are, shipping out of town at
Yeah.
this point in the year that, you gotta do
Yep.
what you gotta do, so. And everybody had plenty of notice, but
Yep,
that's about just that.
yep, good, okay. Yep. I'll send off an email to the coalition, Dam Coalition, just to see where we sit.
We did also
They
tell
know
them to
more.
call Sanford.
Well, yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
looking for an email that I know I got in Shapley that was the final one. I was looking to see if you were on it, so as soon as I find it,
Yep.
I'll ask you.
No, the last one I got was just that the drawdown had happened and they were starting the work, and they got down to having no further leaks coming through after they drew it down. Starting the grout process.
This process is called boring and pressure and grout. Okay, so the one that was done in 16 locations.
Yep.
Here's where we are as of this morning, so that must be the same email. Okay. That was sent on 10/21.
Sounds about right. And- Yeah,
And so it says,
They're gonna have to also, even if it gets
November
done on
23rd.
time, you still have the recovery of the lake to come back up,
Right.
which I'm sure probably won't be too bad.
no. Okay. Good, okay. Article 43, application.
okay. So we have 3, so I think that you can probably start with this one.
This is one of the ones that we've already had.
This is one of the ones you already had,
Already?
and this is the one, and
This is the
Oh, yeah.
I believe I've heard you guys say that you believe this is maintenance, so I thought that was the easiest one to deal with, but that's your call.
It's 13th Street Road Association. And it was for sweeping.
I'm gonna probably abstain from that one, say my letterhead's on it, so.
Yes, it is. Okay. Yep, sweeping, it's a bill for, it's actually 2 bills of $250 apiece, sweeping 13th Street, once in 2018, and then again, 10 technically, this is both in 2018. Because the date on the other sweeping is 6/3/19, which is our 2018 budget, correct?
Right,
Yeah,
but they're both after the date, I mean,
yeah,
after the.
but we didn't make any changes on that yet, so.
Right.
Yeah, so these are both, I mean, best case scenario, even if we were to approve it, they'd only be able to get one.
Because one of them wasn't after 7/1, is that what
Well,
you're saying?
one says 13th Street sweeping, 2018. I
Oh,
don't
we
know
don't know
when it was
when.
done, whether it was after July 1st or,
Gotcha.
but bottom line is, sweeping to me is maintenance,
Okay.
and I don't see that as being something we should be paying for out of this account. I mean, I still believe that it's for mitigating problems, and sweeping is an ongoing
And
yearly thing.
once you make a changes to the, application, they can still reapply for something else.
Mhm.
Right.
Yep,
Do you agree
that's
with?
my feeling on that,
I
so.
do agree with that, the sweeping, you know,
So-
it's
Yeah.
maintenance, as they're putting the sand in
Yeah.
in the winter and then they're having to sweep it off.
Yep.
All right, so motion to deny?
Make a motion to deny
13th Street,
13th Street Road Association application.
I'll second it. Any further discussion? I'll call for a vote, all in favor? All opposed? Abstentions? This is where your arm goes up, thank you. Okay,
That's the other one.
okay, this is the Ridge. And they are, I have the bill here.
Can you and Ed just initial that?
Sure.
I think this is the one that I was kinda skeptical on. The reasoning is the location.
Yep, and this is not your invoice, so you
Yeah, I can talk about this.
you can talk about this one, yep.
But, after looking at
Let's
the
see.
maps and seeing where where it says the work is, and it's almost 3/4 of a mile away from the water.
But we haven't made any rules, or regulations
Yeah, I know.
yet,
That's
so,
why I think
with this
when
one,
we
is what I'm
started
saying,
coming
right,
up and, you know,
yep.
I mean, ditching, let's go, whatever you wanna call it, so,
So did they answer yes to number 2, the private road within the watershed of the Great Pond?
Let's
well,
see,
it's
yes,
part
they
of the
did,
watershed,
Oh,
I mean.
It's just not
the
close to
watershed's
the,
a big area. you
Right.
know. It's not saying shoreland zone or something like that, so,
yeah, that might be a better question.
you know, we were talking about the other day, Winchell Lane, the bottom of the hill over here, it's part of the Mousam watershed. You know, I
that's
mean.
part of the watershed?
That's part of the Mousam watershed, because when we had DEP in here last year, she was talking about the hot spots of, you know, on Mousam Lake, and one of the hot spots they gave us was right here at the bottom of the hill by Bernie Yettins.
Wow,
And so, which, all the water flows from Winchell Lane and all up through there, so that's all part of the Mousam watershed.
yeah,
You know, so it's a very huge area.
yeah, part of my field on San Pedro Road up here
Yeah.
is part of Wilson Lake watershed,
So,
so, yeah, make a note on that application. If you get the application handy, what we're revamping.
Yes.
yeah, because the issue that you
That
have with
might
this one
be-
here is this road association is so large.
Yeah,
That the road is so long and covers so much area,
So is the private road within the watershed of a great pond? What do you want that to say?
shoreland zone.
shoreland zone,
So not a great pond, shoreland zone?
shoreland
or
zone.
maybe add another question in there. Yeah, make it another question. You know, right along with that, is it within,
So you want it to be within the great pond and be within shoreline?
Yeah.
It has,
Yeah.
doesn't have to be kind
Yeah.
of in this to get it, and
yeah,
then
because
the
I'd like
next
to know
question
we'd
would
like to
be-
know what pond it's on,
Right,
Well, and we
So-
can, one of the things they can attach is the map, the interactive maps showing.
yeah, yeah.
What's this
So,
one for?
this is for a grand total of $34.50, so we only go up to 3.
And what work did they do? Was,
Shoulder work and ditching. Now, is this new shoulder work and ditching, or is this, and this was done 8/9 of 18?
I could have them come to the next meeting if you're,
This is, when I looked at this one here, what my concern was, that road is really, really long. And when you say ditching, where was the work done, there was no, so
Right.
that's why I think we really have to move forward and get a description of exactly where the work's gonna be done, why it's being done, and, you know,
Next
I
ones that come
explained to
in.
one fellow the other day that when he came up with his thing, I said, you know, back in the day when we do road work for around town, you just pull this to pull that, or some, you know, at least give you an idea of where the work was being done.
we can
Right.
get some clarification on it.
Yeah, I think, let's get clarification on this one before we approve it.
Huh.
Well, it actually says let's see.
Ashby Road.
Let's see, 136 yards of material removed from the road edges, seed and mulch, put on Ashby Road Hill down to Acton Ridge Road. I mean, I know roughly where that is, but not in conjunction to the lake, so
You can pull up the map.
how close would that be to the lake?
What's the intersection? I'm sorry?
It says Ashby, or
Asbury.
Asbury Road Hill, down to Acton Ridge Road.
Okay. Asbury down to, I'm sorry.
Acton Ridge.
What was done was not maintenance though, right? I mean,
I don't know whether it was new ditching or whether it was repairing ditching that was already there.
Oh, yeah, the contractor's sitting in the audience.
He is.
I feel like,
All right,
you know, maybe
so-
we should, because we
Here
didn't
is
have these
this
stipulations
line,
before.
this line here going down around where all those blue are, that's Asbury Lane. This one here.
Okay,
If you follow that to the end, this road here is Acton
Acton
Ridge,
Ridge.
so I don't, you know what I mean, and then there's, looks like there's water back there. We got it from a distance, so that blue going down is Asbury Lane, but then
Okay.
Acton Ridge connects.
okay. Any objections if we ask the contractor?
No, not at all. Yeah.
Mr. Contractor,
Asbury Lane here. And then it connects.
okay? I wasn't sure which one did it.
Right. We don't
Yep.
have a,
So,
How close to the
Question?
water?
yes. Was this new ditching? Was this digging out
Yes,
material
we-
that ended up in a ditch that was already
Correct,
there?
Correct. The road, it does have ditches on that steep hill that travels down onto Acton Ridge. And that's what we did. We redefined the ditches and everything and seeded and mulched it in and to hold the water. But and you asked where it does run down and then it just sheds off into the woods a couple hundred feet down the road there, so.
Can you show them on the map where, on Asbury Lane? You actually, I mean, where you actually did the
It's right
work?
on, just as you come off Acton Ridge, right, that hill right there.
Yes, that big steep hill on that sharp turn right there. Yeah,
That's right off Acton Ridge
Yeah.
Road.
yeah.
So is that close to the water?
I don't know, it's
but it's within this,
probably what,
I think
half
we've
a
decided
mile?
everything's-
It's within,
I mean,
it's within the Great Pond, but,
right. But we have not set up any
Right.
new things yet, so I still
Right.
feel if they did what they were supposed to, we have to approve this.
Yeah,
I just
So the other
because we're
question,
gonna
the other question
change.
is then, is
but
it
at this
maintenance
point-
or is it work?
And that
work?
was my
can't
question.
fault them for,
right.
Right, doing what we asked
Yep.
them, yeah.
But like you said, they're having a, you know, we can,
Yeah.
in the packet, should be a nice clear map
Right.
in define, like you
Right,
said,
yeah.
and then you know where it is, and then you can define by,
Oh.
from this area, from here to there, that
This
this
one's
is where
definitely
the
not maintenance like the last one.
Yeah, so this one isn't maintenance? Would you,
Was this maintenance?
how would you describe it?
Uh,
Put you on the spot, but.
no, actually, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean,
Okay.
that association was established in the mid-eighties, and nothing's been done to it.
Okay.
So
And, you
then
know,
this is to help with,
yeah, and it was helping with the runoff that was
It's not
running.
like it was ditched a year ago or 2 years ago.
No,
It's-
no, it's, yeah.
Okay,
And-
okay.
I want to make a motion to accept it.
Make a
Thanks,
motion.
Dave.
Okay, I'm
Thank
gonna
you,
make a
Dave.
motion to accept Article 43, Road Association, The Ridge,
Okay. Do we hear a second?
How much?
I'll second that.
3,000.
Gonna do them the whole 3,000? Okay.
Up to 3?
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, the bill's 34.50, so we
Right,
can,
so
I mean,
they'll
we
do the-
only go up to
I didn't know,
3.
yeah, where he said some was maintenance, I didn't.
Yeah.
You can give him any number you want.
Okay. Okay, moving and seconded to approve the Article 43 for the Ridge for up to $3,000, or for $3,000. Any further discussion? Call for a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Okay.
Can you initial the front page? Sorry.
What's it on the front?
Well, it's just easier, because for
Front
filing
page, okay,
purposes,
yeah,
because you're not really paying the bill technically.
okay. Please. Twenty-third.
All right, so as I get ready to present you the last one, if any more come forward, I'm going to say, please hold on to that packet. The board is in the process of reviewing and making changes to the top sheet, so I'm
I
gonna
would.
pull it off the website.
Please.
Pull it off the flyer out there so they
Yep.
can't get it, and we
Yep.
will not, I won't accept anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, for right now. We're not gonna make any decisions until we get
This
this.
is the last one then.
Some of the best ways to make these changes is to review these, so.
Yep.
Okay, Wilkins Road Association.
And Mr. Farmer is here if you have any
Okay,
questions.
This is on Great East Lake. Sure, go right ahead. Yep. Let's see, it looks like they've answered yes to most all the questions. Is this spot identified as a risk? Nope. Okay.
I think that's his quote that he was making up there, right?
This one here? Looks like it's a total of $1,100. Am I reading that right? It's $1,100 that they're looking for. I think I'd like to ask the gentleman to come up and explain the work. Does that sound good?
It's fine, yep.
Mr. Farmer here? Yes. Yeah. Come on up, please.
Look at that, maybe.
Sure. Can you just explain to us the scope of the work?
Sure. It's easy. You have in your documentation, the backup is shown on a map, where a telephone pole. You can see that.
You see the back?
Open up the
It's-
map there.
It's, yes,
Back
there's a
page.
map on the back.
We spoke about last
Well, last week.
Thursday,
Yeah,
Thursday or
right.
Friday.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can see by the color of the area.
Mm-hmm.
Area 1, it goes from a telephone pole down to where it starts on the slope that we want to cover with some road gravel, that's explained. We know the yardage and all of that, the costs
Last page.
are there. And then you go to Area 2, you'll see it from starting from a telephone pole, that's numbered, so that you can just drive in this road. Anybody can drive in and take a look at it, whoever is officially assigned to that, very quickly, and can go to the telephone pole and see it. And I've also put stakes on the beginning line and then the stopping line with tape on them. And then moved on down to the next area, Area 2, and have put the stakes at the beginning and at the end.
So it's basically just re-graveling a couple sections?
Yes, that's all it is.
Okay.
You,
Was
you
it,
gonna be doing the work yourself? or-
Yes.
was it washed out, or was it,
It's, it's a tough area. It gets soggy in the spring, and it's sinking. We're losing our, you know, the rise in the
ground?
crown, right, the crown. So and that's important for us to get that taken care of. And that's the same thing, we have some potholes on the Area 2.
Okay.
This is affecting the runoff?
Not really, no. It's down into dry swamp, like type of thing. It's always been there.
Do a road trip down and look at it?
Yeah. Is that considered not maintenance, but, yeah, I don't know, so that's why I'm asking. But yeah, we probably should go take a look at it and bring it back again.
Let's take a look at it.
That'd be all right?
Yeah,
Maybe the
I
three
think
of us
that's
or something.
probably a good idea.
That makes
Sounds like
sense.
you got it all laid out.
All laid out, all laid out for you.
All right, so,
Good idea, Kim.
We'll look at
Yeah.
it before next Wednesday.
all right, then we'll come back to it next Wednesday, we'll come down, we'll look at it this
Oh,
week.
that's great.
We'll
Yep.
figure out a day and,
Yeah, thank you very much.
It's good
You're
for us to
welcome.
do that anyway.
Yeah, it is.
yep,
It is.
Actually, this is the
Great.
new one.
Appreciate it.
All right,
All right,
thanks a lot,
thank you.
guys.
Thank you. Okay,
What's that? Okay.
okay, good. Okay, all set with that? Okay. New business, fire department furnace. I'm gonna get a set of hats and I'm gonna line them right up there.
Okay.
And you just put the one on that
That's
you're,
what I need to have. All right, well, good evening. Dave Langley, interim fire chief. As you all have, you've got notification from Jennifer's office. Last Saturday night at 1 o'clock in the morning, we had a misfire with the furnace. Fire station filled up full of CO. Thank goodness we have CO detectors in there. They were all sounding. We ended up shutting the duty crew, shut the furnace off, packed up. We went through our protocols, just regular fire department stuff. It was, the readings are right off the chart. Shut the furnace down, ventilated the building. Sunday morning, Luke Cynical, who owns Molson Valley Tech, come up and checked it out. And we've known the last couple of years we've had some issues that it was coming, and it's finally lived this life. That furnace was put in 1998. The building was built. From what we could tell in our records, it was a lot of that stuff went out to bid, so most likely it was a lower bid. It isn't a high-quality, high-end furnace. And also keeping in mind is that that fire station sat semi-dormant for, for 18 years, and in the last 4 years, it's been running 24/7. So, saying that, we have asked Mr. Cynical to get some numbers together for us, and I'm asking for you guys to see if we can find some monies. I do have money in line items, going back to the beginning of the meeting. We could draw from other line items, but doing that, we'd have to take money out of truck funds, equipment funds. We could do it in-house. I was advised by the treasurer that is not a good idea, which we're only 5 months into the fiscal year, and we don't know what's gonna happen. So,
So we have
I was-
Article 11 that says that, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to appropriate and expend monies from undesignated fund balance for the purchase of equipment or to use as they deem advisable to meet unanticipated expenses and emergencies that occur in 1920. Maximum expenditure of 15,000. So this is where the treasurer recommends it comes from. The motion that was made on town floor does require the Warren and Finances, choose these words carefully,
Their advice and
oh yeah, it said advice and recommendation. Shall require, expenditures in excess of $500 shall require the advice and recommendation of the Warren and Finance Committee. So we've pulled them together for Thursday. What we're really hoping for is, he's not gonna pick one of Luke's gonna come to you guys with the quotes. But in an effort to save time, we're hoping that you'll make a motion to expend these funds up to 15,000 if necessary, and then when you get the quotes, we'll either be having phone conversations, we'll schedule an emergency meeting, we need to see what happens Thursday with them.
Right.
But we need to move on this as temperatures drop.
Oh, definitely. I know my hamster was turning there when we were going over the dam.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna have to have a special town meeting for that, I'm sure.
In a couple months, yeah.
I'd hate to see the fire department go into line items that they're probably already short on.
Mhm.
And,
Yep.
I think if we can do this right, possibly, grant them the 15 grand.
If not
have
up
them
to,
pull
yeah.
some money out of some line items, and then when we have our special town meeting, see if we can replenish them back to zero, just to take care of this issue. And at the same time, we're early into the fiscal year, and, if we have any other issues there.
As I
we
say,
may
but if
have
this
to
furnace
something
goes and
Yeah.
we don't have
at the
anything,
special town meeting to
Do
replenish
we,
that account.
do we have an idea what the total cost is gonna be?
Well, I mean, the numbers 16 to 18 came around in conversation, so no, not 100%. And, I mean, David may have a good point. By the time that comes around for a special town meeting, hopefully we'll have a chief in place, and we'll have a better idea, because remember, our salary line we were
Right.
based on November 14th. So
Yep.
we're definitely gonna have to sit down and look at it once this purchase is made, and we may need to do that, or they may be all right now that our intern has gone a few more weeks longer, so.
Right.
I mean,
It may work itself
You
out.
kind of playing Russian roulette when you
Exactly.
start pulling money out of, the problem you have is, truck breaks down, you need,
Yeah.
you're already tight on your numbers, but you also, the issue you're gonna have is if you pull money out of those accounts, we go to special town meeting, and the special town meeting says, no, we're not gonna replenish it.
Right.
But I think, the town,
The town's always supported us
Yeah,
quite
and
well,
it,
and I think
and I
it's,
think you may be surprised with some of the numbers, it may sort itself out.
yeah.
If we can-
Yeah.
Especially if we can get closer to 16, but definitely something to keep
Yeah.
in mind.
Yeah.
The other thing too, and not to curse anybody, but this, I mean, we're expecting our furnace here to die as well.
right.
I mean,
Yeah,
it gets
this
lit
one
3,
here-
4 times.
This one here's been on borrowed time, bro.
Yeah, so let's
As
just hope
long
that
as that
doesn't
one.
happen.
we
because-
pull that money out of undesignated fund, correct?
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a line
Right.
item pulled
No.
up separately, so
Nope.
we can go to town meeting, when we have the special town meeting on the dam, if we ever get an exact
Right.
amount, what it's
Right.
gonna be, figure out what the overages are gonna be on those guys, get those guys back to zero where they need to be, and then figure out our cost on the new fire chief, and
Yeah.
probably have something where we can, vote back in, that we can go back in and do another 15 in case of another problem down the
Yes.
road.
For this article?
replenish, what
Of
David's saying is replenish. If we take the 15 out of that number, and if we have a special town meeting,
Put it
have the
back.
people vote, if they will replenish that 15 that
Give
was
us the
taken out.
ability to take it out if we need to again, if possible.
Yeah.
Because we're only 5 months into the season.
Well, right, and that's the thing, it's all gonna depend on when the special town meeting has to be, and
Right.
we'll run some numbers there, but.
I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, that furnace probably should have been budgeted for a couple of years ago.
Exactly, correct.
As
And
sure
I
as-
spoke about
I've
that
never-
4 years ago when I was sitting in as a chief.
I've never
and-
really liked that setup over there, only because your pilots are open flame, and your fire is open flame.
Yep.
So the other problem you've had over there, and it was this way when I was chief, in the kitchen, they've got an exhaust fan, it's a commercial style exhaust fan. You turn that on, it sucks the CO right out of that furnace, right into the building. Yeah, when you turn it on. It sets off the alarms and everything. It's not a,
So hopefully tomorrow night, I'm gonna meet with Warren Finance. Luke Senecal's gonna come. Hopefully he's gonna have some numbers for us. He had
From today.
is anybody's familiar with furnace stuff and the size of that building, that's forced, radiant forced heat, so we're pumping water, so we had to run some numbers and everything. And it isn't just a furnace we go to Lowe's and go get, so it,
Right.
we might get lucky. P&E may have one down there on the shelf, Bell Simons or FW Webb or something like that, one of his 3 or 4 vendors. Or we could be a couple weeks out and we keep our fingers crossed, so.
You can't make a recommendation tonight without the recommendation of the finance.
Well,
committee,
you can make a motion to expend up to
Yes,
15,000
we can make that motion.
pursuant to Article 11. I mean, you're still gonna have to sign off on the bill and help make the decision of which one,
Right.
but you have to do this in a public meeting, so,
But we have to have.
we can do that
recommendation.
before
We
the
can do it
warrant and
before the
finance?
warrant and finance.
yes, yes, I
But
mean,
it
we
doesn't
can't,
say anything over $500 that
Well,
we
we-
have to have the advice of the.
right, but it doesn't mean you can't vote on it first. I mean, we can't expend it without warrant and finances, but it doesn't, there's nothing that says which vote happens first. Because of the timeline, I'm just gonna try to get them
Can
booked
make a
up.
motion.
So if we tonight make a motion to forward that $15,000 towards the fire department's furnace,
It's all hinged
and
up.
then tomorrow night, the warrant finance committee can say, yay,
Right?
at that point, are they good?
Well, at that point, depending on, I mean, Luke is gonna have 2 or 3 bills, 2 or 3. I mean, I'm gonna bring those back to the selectmen. You're probably gonna have to pop in on Friday. We'll post a workshop, or, even Saturday, or I'll email them to you and we can discuss them. Luke's gonna have pros and cons, and I'll get your opinion, and, I'm guessing we're gonna go with his recommendation. There's a reason, he's our heating guy for all these years. But I'll let you look at those first, and then, and certainly
He's
see what
gonna
Dave has to
obviously
say.
give us the best recommendation.
Right, of course he is.
Exactly.
I mean, it's his, so.
I think his pricing is gonna be
Yeah.
as good, if not better, than,
Yeah, he's always
Going
treated us
out to
well,
bid,
and
yeah.
that's one thing you don't screw with your heat guy.
No.
When you lose heat, you
Yeah.
gotta call him up.
yeah, it's not good.
Exactly, he's always been good
And that
about
was the
that.
other thing, I mean, Warren and Finance is making a recommendation to expend the money. I mean, but the selectmen have the authority to bypass the secret bid process, which I think we've determined based on the emergency that we're gonna do. So their piece is just that,
Yeah,
so.
because we obviously, and because when I talked to you, Dave, I asked, I said, let's get 3 prices.
Yep.
Something that the finance committee and everybody can chew on.
Yep.
But at the end of the day,
We may or may not be able to, though.
yeah, depending on the prices,
Size.
what fits in the.
Exactly.
But
Yep.
we obviously, going with the cheapest one, it's not always the best thing to do,
No.
so. Obviously, we're gonna take the advice of having it, and then see if we can afford it.
That's correct. See what our numbers are at tomorrow night, see what his recommendations are, and we'll keep going from there, so.
So I'll probably, just for safety, to give 48 hours, I'll probably post a workshop, at least an emergency workshop sometime on Friday, so that, around the same time, so if we have to.
Can we do it
Take
a
a
little
look.
later in the day?
He's
Yeah,
gonna-
it would
he's
be,
gonna
I
have
wanted
to order.
48 hours, so it'll be later, yeah.
Okay, good.
He's gonna have to have time to get these things ordered.
Right.
We don't wanna
Right.
waste until next Wednesday to do
Right.
that.
Right.
so.
And the thing is that if you've seen them, we can still give them authorization to order it. The bill's not gonna come in, once Warren and Finance does their piece,
Yeah.
we can order it without,
Yep.
so. As long as we cover the major
Okay.
bases, we'll be fine, so. One of you wanna make that motion, we'll join Warren and Finance tomorrow night?
So
I
we
make
would,
a motion that we, forward the $15,000 to the fire department furnace.
out of Article 11,
Pursuant to Article 11, yeah?
so it's
So
Article,
Article 11.
and I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded to spend up to 15,000 out of that article, Article 11, moved and seconded. Any further discussion? No, call for a vote, all in favor, all opposed? We'll
It's
see.
important to note that I think the treasurer said at town meeting, this is the second time since she's been here in over 10
Yeah.
years that we've used this article, so.
Yeah, and I think when we talked about it, furnace was the.
It's the reason we keep
that-
putting it
yeah,
on there,
Exactly.
so.
Have we ever depleted it?
No, we've only used it once in 10 years, and I think she said it had something to do with the emergency sand and salt building removal. I want to say, does anybody remember?
That sounds right,
I feel like
yeah.
that might be why
Yeah.
we used
They
it.
tore it down.
We got, we got a
But
really
very
good price to tear it down,
seldomly.
we needed the
Well,
money to do
and the
it.
insurance company was
Yeah, they
insisting
were
it
hard
come
on us
down,
to,
so.
to get it down,
All right, okay.
Dennis,
Thank
so
you,
the-
guys.
Thank you.
so, we did.
This account was used for the fire truck?
About
No.
about
Oh,
10 years
yeah, the
ago.
old Mac.
Yeah, about 10 years
Oh,
ago.
more than 10, it must have been right before
Yeah,
Michelle.
12 years ago.
Dennis, can you think of anything else that Warren and Finance might need? We've got the quotes, we've got Luke. Should be good?
No.
Okay.
Everybody's coming, Dennis?
Okay,
Everybody said yes, except for Tucker. I tried him a few times, he didn't answer his phone, so I left him a message, so,
Do your best.
and Shannon sent emails out there.
good, good, okay. Wonderful,
Thank you.
we'll see you tomorrow night, so.
6 o'clock, right?
Yes. And I did tell the Girl Scouts they could meet in the gym.
Okay, good. Okay, planning board resignations.
So we have two. One's gonna be a verbal for now. I did myself speak to Tom Cashin, and it is his, request to step down from the planning board. As we all know, he's got a lot going on in his life, and, he thinks it's in the best interest, right now, so
Big loss.
I told him that, so, he's gonna come in and sign something, I typed it up for him, so you can make that effective tonight.
Yep.
And then, the second one is from Donovan LaJoy, who is a alternate planning board member. So, if you accept those resignations, we will, sit down and run names, but as I understand it, so Donovan was an alternate, so, and Dennis is an alternate. So Dennis will get moved up to fill the remainder of Tom Cashin's seat, and then you'll end up with two alternate positions open.
Tom, cash and seats open for how long?
I'm gonna say June of 2020, but I'll double check,
So this year coming.
yeah. So those are the two resignations.
Okay, we need to accept those, or they
Yes.
just, okay?
Accept them with regret?
Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to accept the resignations from Tom Cashin and Donovan LaJoy from the planning board.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded to accept the two resignations, Tom Cashin and Donovan LaJoy. Any further discussion? Call for a vote, all in favor, all opposed.
thank you to
Yes.
both of them for,
Definitely.
you know,
Yep.
all the time and effort they've put into that over the years.
Okay. Policies.
All right, this is a complete set, so just pass that all the way down.
Complete set,
So just,
that's it. Do we each get a complete set?
Kimberly, of course you do. As soon as I figure out what I'm doing.
Through you.
All right, that's for Ed. There's some blank pages in between for some reason. I think because we went from two-sided to one-sided. Okay, so we're gonna start a review of our policies. Go team. The first one is we're gonna do them alphabetically and get one big binder going. First one is the abatement policy. This one I've sent over to O'Donnell's and Associates, because they essentially handle our abatements. So this one you can take home. So I'll have a recommendation from Dennis for next week, to see if he has any changes. If you could please read over it, that would be wonderful. The next two, I think that we can talk about and act on. The next one is fairly new. March 26th was the adopted date, the acceptance of payment policy. So all employees and volunteers who handle cash payments for goods, services, permitting, and donations must apply to the treasurer annually to be bonded by the town's insurance policy. This includes and is not limited to Acton Rec, Land Use Department, and Fire and Rescue. It is preferred that all cash payments be directed to the tax collector's office. To make said payments, and a receipt will be provided. Any cash and/or checks accepted by the department should be remitted to the treasurer within 5 business days of the receipt, and should be mailed to the town of Acton. So Michelle didn't have any changes to this. Did you have any thoughts or changes on this one?
Nope.
All right, so we'll make this one an amended or accepted date of next week, and get updated signatures. The next one, I figured 3 a night was good. I didn't want to overwhelm you.
Back to the payment one.
Yes,
The situation we had a week or so ago.
that's not a situation.
It wasn't a situation for us.
It's not a
It was a
situation.
situation for someone else.
I'm trying to, okay, so here's the situation.
So-
What was the situation?
I mean, and raise your hand if you think this is a situation, because I could be misunderstanding, and I want to understand it. So on the tax bill, it says, if you would like a receipt, please send in a self-addressed stamped envelope, okay? So we figure we have over 3,000 parcels, more than half of them come by mail, so we get mail, and we're entering. So the envelope comes in, we open the envelope, there's a check in there, there's an envelope in there. I go into Trio, I process the check, I print off the receipt, I take the receipt and I put it in the envelope, and I mail it. Right? Just like if you went to Walmart or Hannaford and paid by check.
Exactly.
Right?
Get your receipt, no,
Okay.
go.
Ed, the situation is, go ahead,
Situation is, the lady gets her receipt
in the mail,
in the mail, a few days later, assumes that.
because she got a
Assume is the
receipt,
big part, assumes that the check has been processed
because she got a
through
receipt.
our bank. Now.
So the
there was-
question is, when you
there
get a
was two-
receipt
two
handed to
days-
you,
Yeah, there was a Saturday, Sunday, and a holiday in there. So, yeah, when the receipt is handed to you.
do you
normally-
assume your check is clear when I
Yeah.
hand you the receipt?
No. You shouldn't.
Why would it matter?
Because she got the
didn't-
receipt
she
back
thought
in
she
the
had
mail,
extra
and she
money.
thought that was confirmation that her check had cleared.
Yeah.
She spent the money on something else, and the check was returned.
Yeah,
But that's her.
The check was returned to
situation.
us.
That's
Well, I said it wasn't a
bad
situation.
balance.
exactly, and that's what I explained to her, so.
Do you see what I mean? I sent her
Yeah.
the receipt, and
Well,
she,
then clear, we're gonna
I
go
mean,
spend
she-
some more.
when she got the
Yeah.
receipt, she assumed that that's, the receipt
Yeah.
meant, oh, great, I'm good, and then
Yeah.
she just went on with her business.
Yeah, yeah, and
I mean, I was sorry, I was very
No, it's
sorry.
Not, yeah, and I was too, she called me, and.
So-
I get receipts all the time before my check clears.
Well,
Exactly.
So how, I mean, so what kind
Yeah.
of minor change would we make?
Nothing, I'm just asking, is there anything that should be done in there, or is it, you know? I mean, that's the only place it would fall, so.
Just because you get a receipt does not mean it has been deducted from your bank.
Well, I mean, so when
Do we
someone
have to-
walks in the counter and they do a motor vehicle and they pay by check, I'm not to
Yeah.
give them a receipt?
Most
Nope, you are.
people that
Oh,
do
you
a
have to give
checkbook
them a
will write a check and then go in their balance
Oh,
and
we
write
had
it
that
out that they
conversation.
spent
And
it.
like I explained to her, I said, if it was me, I probably would have gone in the computer and gone onto the bank to see if it had cleared,
And-
rather
and-
than spending the money.
We can't be sending
No.
receipts later on and waiting for everything to clear.
No, we can't,
That'd be
so-
a complete
no.
nightmare.
And
I just wanted
in
to-
her defense, it took 5, from the day she wrote the check to the day that it cleared. It took 5 days, I think, 7 days.
7 days, I
Took
think.
7
yeah.
days.
But a Saturday, Sunday, and a holiday in there, so.
Well, plus I had to get
It
mailed,
had to
Yeah.
get mailed to you.
Right.
3 days, holiday, plus we had to open
Yeah.
it, plus we had the
Yeah.
counter traffic, I mean,
I don't
Yeah.
believe there's an issue at all.
No.
So it's
So-
not a situation.
Well, like I say, it's a situation for her, not for us, so.
we are sorry that we do, I
Okay.
mean,
Yep, okay,
don't
nope,
think
I
that.
just wanted to double
Okay.
check all that and make sure
I
everybody
mean,
was
I don't
on
know
the
what
same
I would do
page.
differently, you certainly can tell me, but I don't know
No.
what to do differently in
No, I
that
think it was
situation.
done perfectly good and, you know, the normal way we handle everything, so, yeah, okay, move on.
All right, so the next one is the acceptance of credit card, and this one is fairly old, so we want to make some minor changes to it. So effective January 4th of 2010, I think at that point we can take this off, that was 9 years ago, so we can just start it by saying, the town of Acton will accept Visa cards, wait a minute.
Do we accept
Yeah,
anything other than
this is,
Visa?
yeah, this is completely changed, yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So this should read, the town of Acton will accept Visa, American Express, Discover, and MasterCard for all services.
Okay.
Okay? That's what that needs to say. Because it used to be Visa would only allow us to do taxes. All right, so the town of Acton, so we'll say the town of Acton will accept Visa, American Express, Discover, and MasterCard for all services. Persons using any of these credit/debit cards, because there's no difference between a credit and a debit card with our machine, are subject to a surcharge as set by it's not the individual credit card company anymore, it's the, how do I say, it's the middleman surcharge company that gets it, so I'll find a professional word to put that, say that.
So we really need to, we ought to know that surcharge so that everybody gets,
Yep, so it's, and I can put the percentage in there, it's 2.5%,
Has it ever changed since 2010?
not since we've ever used
what
it.
happens
good.
if they, you know, well, like when I go get fuel,
Uh-huh.
a certain place I go get fuel, I can either, because I use my debit card or my fuel card, but if I use my debit card, they say but it's Visa or debit. You can do credit, or if they use it debit, does,
Ours will only run through one way.
also yours only runs
Yeah,
one way? Okay.
they only run through one way, so.
So I guess that's,
So you want to, so we'll say, you want to list the 2.5% in there, we might as well put it right in the
Yeah.
policy, okay? It must pay the surcharge at the time services are rendered.
Mm-hmm.
The only other blurb that we want to put in there, which you've kind of given us the okay a few years back, is that we do not take credit or debit card payments over the phone.
Yep.
you only do that in certain cases, right?
Well, and I do need to put the exception clause in, because every year at foreclosure time, I mean, I've got 2 or 3 non-residents that go into foreclosure every year, and I'm, you know what I mean?
What about military?
So we need to put the clause that, you know, exceptions, I mean, but I just don't want to make a regular
Yeah.
habit of it, because people call on tax day, that's what happens. They call on tax day, and we've got 30 people that want to pay it over the phone. These are second homes, they don't mind paying $40, $50 surcharges. But our office just can't handle the, so.
So that should be.
So no credit or debit cards over the phone unless, I'll come up with something.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll make amendments to that one. And we'll prepare those 2 for signatures, and you'll take a peek at the abatement one, and I'll let you know what Dennis says. I'll forward you his email from O'Donnell's,
Okay.
if he wants to make any changes, because that one was fairly old too, wasn't it?
It was adopted 2012?
2012, so 7 years, so,
Yeah.
okay. I'll take a look at it.
Okay. Anything else on policies?
Nope, 3 a week.
Okay, sounds good. Public comment. Anyone public? Everything you'd like to say?
Joyce Bakshi, Planning Board Chair. I'd just like to thank Tom and Donovan for their service. Tom has over 25 years. He mentored a lot of us, and we will miss him dearly.
Absolutely.
And Donovan brought a different kind of expertise to us. He's ex-military. I believe he was a lieutenant colonel, or I apologize, Donovan, if that wasn't your rank, but he was up there. And he brought a clarity and brevity to us that has served us all very well in a short tenure. They will both be missed very much.
Great,
Thank you.
thank you.
Other than Article 43, there was a list of items mentioned by the auditor. Could you tell us what they were and how they have been addressed? And also, when will the auditor be available for public question?
We
I
did
can answer
discuss
that.
that with her the other day.
Yep. So we sent her 2 dates, and she has not gotten back to us yet. One is at the end of one is the last Wednesday in November, and the other one is the first Wednesday in December. So we're coordinating that. Once the board decides, at any time, the public can start sending in their questions. There were 5, and I'm going to do them off memory. I feel like we've been talking about all of them. One is the gym, the fitness center. Last week, we gave an update on the gym, basically saying it's probably going to close in January based on the revenues that we have. So that one's been handled. The other one is the bank reconciliation. She recommended that the treasurer have a second set of eyes, look at the bank recs, and we have now been doing that for the last 3 months. Article 43 was on there. What else? There was,
Higgins.
oh, yes, that's why you keep hearing about T.G. Higgins, our prior billing company. She had concerns about the excessive amount of write-offs that company did. So if you've been following along this last several meetings, the board has been pursuing that legally because we're not getting any direct answers from Higgins. So that was one of the concerns. And I feel like there was one more.
Jim, the bank.
Or maybe that was it.
That was 5, wasn't it?
Oh, was that 5? The gym, Higgins, 43, the bank recs.
In the gym.
Yeah, that might have been it, but I'll, if I miss one,
We're addressing everything that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and-
absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're not
And-
picking
and
on
they're-
this one.
Yeah.
Nope.
We're addressing.
We're on them all.
that's why you keep hearing about Higgins. The other ones, I think, are handled.
Yep, yep, I think so.
And
And
as soon as she gets
gives
that,
us, yeah, a date,
Yeah,
start
as soon as he gives
advertising
us
it.
a date, we'll open it up for,
You
Yeah.
said something about middle of November, right?
Yeah,
End
yeah,
of
we've narrowed it
November,
down
1st
to
of
the last
December.
one in November or the
She wanted
first.
to do it during Thanksgiving week
Yeah.
or
Right,
something like that,
right.
so.
Yeah.
but once she gives us a date, then we can open
Yeah.
up questions, people can
Well, people
start.
could be sending them in anytime because she would like them the sooner than,
Yeah.
sooner
Could we
than later.
get started on
we could,
that?
we
Yeah.
could probably get started on that anytime.
Okay, so,
She would just like questions ahead of time if people could do that,
Yep.
you know, if you have a list of questions, so we-
Well, she can have the answers and, you know.
Yeah,
Right.
she'll come in
Give her
here,
some
with- yeah,
time.
she'll come in with the answers, and, yeah, like I say, not get blindsided with, yep, okay. Next,
Hi, Jay Ward, Abbott Road. I just have a couple quick things about Article 43. And I know that it didn't make any difference on your decisions today, but the law is pretty clear in that it's maintenance and repair. And I guess I would urge you to probably look at the law as you're evaluating some of the applications.
you mean
And-
the law, or do you mean the way the article is written?
Well, both.
Well, the article that's written is not law. We have to go by state law. We can't oversee
Right.
state law.
which
But as it
statute?
was written, but there are state laws that are referenced in it, in the article itself. And it's clear that it's the watershed of the Great Pond, not the shoreline.
Right.
So that's in statute also. One question, and I know that you haven't finished the application yet, but I could imagine that there's roads out there that have already completed the work based on this application. And so I think that, yeah, probably should think about having an exemption for those that have a date that has been completed but not submitted prior to whatever date that you decide is going to be under the new application.
Do you think these roads would only be doing the work because of the reimbursement, or is it work they'd have to do anyways?
Be work that they
Have to do,
decided to do.
it's, I mean, it'd be too bad you don't have a list of those roads that are doing work.
I
mean,
wish we
That's
kinda
why
knew
we
what
have
was
to
up.
do what we're doing. That way that we don't have this issue, because we don't know who's coming in with what.
Right.
Okay, just because one road did come in and say, yeah, we're bringing some bills in. But at the same time, you know, we can also ask them for an itemized list of what was done, costs, expenses, just to oversee that. Because there is gonna be an overlap somewhere.
Right, and that's, I
Right.
think that's what
But
he's
at the
saying.
same
Yeah, that's
time, we
overlap.
just
Yeah.
can't, because all these
Yeah.
roads, we don't know who's doing what. This could go on for 6 months, so.
Well,
at
but if
some
they're doing
point,
the
we-
work
we-
now, I mean, it would've had to
Right,
be
we've
done the last
already
few
done the work,
months.
then all we can ask them to do is, okay, exactly what
Farmer.
Mr. Farmer, did, you know, gave a location, did this and that, we can ask them to do that still.
Yeah,
I
of
don't
course,
think
you can
that's
ask for more information, but
Yeah.
you do have to look at the date that the
Work was done.
work has been completed.
Right, it might have been
So essentially,
done.
we can encourage that going forward, it use this, but I mean, at some point, you can set a drop dead. I mean, by December, let's just say, any work that they would have done this summer, you know what I mean? So let's just say effective January 1st, they could follow your new, more grant
Right.
process.
Yep.
But up and, you know what I mean, but
Up
give them a
until
few
then, we
months
still-
to
Probably
turn
should
in
do
any
that.
work that they might have
Yeah.
done these last few months, because they must be wrapping it up if work is being done.
Or it could already be done, they just haven't
Right.
put the application in.
Right.
So we need
I
to
would think
find a way to
January
move them
1st would be
along, if they're
I
going to.
think, I think really these, I'm sure they're paying attention, because they have been, that they ought to come up and let us know that they're gonna be coming up with this, and,
Yeah, some intent.
yeah, just to give us an idea.
So the board will consider it if the work was just done the last few months, so we want to
Yeah.
spread the word,
Yeah.
Jay, that, to get them
Yeah,
up,
rather
put the
than-
applications
rather than
in.
just
And we
cut it
could try to
straight
do
off.
that through the road committee, and if
Yeah.
we know of any of the work that's been
Only
ongoing.
got, what, four roads, 5 roads that are actually putting in for the money. I think we
Mm.
just added another one, but,
But there could be.
should be-
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's probably around
So with what he's
13.
saying, does that kind of change, not to interrupt you, change the direction? I mean, we just kind of said that, okay, we had these 6.
Right,
We're
maybe
not
it
going to
would be
accept any
better.
with the new form.
It does.
Do we want to look at them and say, okay, well, this work was just done 2 months ago, I'm going to go ahead and move it forward, or I'll, I can give you a call?
Because it's something they did.
Because we're not looking for
Because-
anything with bills from 18 at this
But they
point.
haven't,
Right.
they haven't submitted nothing to us yet, so
Well,
theoretically.
he's saying they could be sitting on it, or they could be just
They could be
about done with
finishing
the
up their
work.
paperwork or
They
whatever.
very
Right.
well could be.
Yeah.
But
That's why I
we-
think setting a
Yeah.
date, let's set a date now, that,
That the road committee can share?
so
Like,
that
could you
people.
set a date to say, okay, as of December 1st, this is we're gonna be following this new process, so if you did work in
Actually,
the
we still
last
have-
few
we still have
months,
to come up with the form. We haven't
Right,
done the
right.
form,
Right.
so,
so we want them to get them in sooner
So
than later,
basically, yeah, basically, they're gonna send them in, and we'll deal with them
as they come in.
as they come in.
Does December 1st give you,
I mean, they
give
won't
us
be
enough
doing
time to
work.
get
It
this
should
new?
give us enough
I
time to
would
get,
think get our new
Yeah,
form ready for
I would
They're
think
not
December
gonna be
1st.
doing work in December, right, at this
not
point?
usually, no.
Yeah,
No, the
so-
work will be all
No.
done, yeah.
So why don't we say, what comes in, and we look at it?
Yep.
But as of December 1st, there'll be a
case,
new form, and it's gonna be,
Yeah.
a few different things they have to do. That's all.
Great, great. And if you're in need of any of the laws, we have them all packaged up. We can
Okay.
share them with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get an explanation for something that I don't quite understand? The way that I have programmed the road is that first we present it, and then you go out and inspect it, right?
when I spoke to you about that, that's what we would like.
That's
what-
the
that's
plan
the
moving
plan.
forward.
Okay.
So
Okay.
when you went past me the thing, I said, well, I could take this. We weren't sure what was going on because we had held up 2 other ones. I just didn't want to put you in that situation.
Okay.
And then, I said, and I was just giving you what I thought, not what the whole select board, but, and what we were talking, and I said, what I'm looking for is this, and that, and you did all that. So, yeah, we just,
Yeah.
at this point, we just want to go see what.
Okay. Because the idea is, for my association, I want to make sure that all the people in the road know that they're going to get their money back. So the only way is, I know about it, is if I present it to you like I have, and that you've approved it, or you haven't approved it, whatever way. But if you have approved it, then we would go ahead and build it immediately.
Right.
And
Yep,
Right.
and that's what we like.
And that's what they want to do going
wanna do.
forward.
Right.
Okay.
But because this was approved in 2018, and the discussions that have been had for the last year, there are some roads and, that are doing the work and are submitting it after the fact, because we did accept it that way. So we're trying to slowly change the process, but we need to grandfather some of those in. And I think that's,
Yeah.
I don't want to get shot by my people, though.
don't, and we don't want you to get shot by your people, Jim.
Done.
Sure.
Okay. Any other public comment?
Thanks.
Going once, going twice? Okay. Announcements. Still looking for videographers. It's a $50 stipend per meeting.
Yeah, I added that, because I'm not sure if
Yes.
anybody knows that. I mean,
That's good to
some of
add.
the meetings are short.
Yep. Yeah, you
And then
could have
there's
a 20-minute meeting, or you could have a 3-hour meeting. So I think we have a stipulation if it goes over so many hours.
Over 4 hours,
Yeah,
we generally
yeah.
pay.
So anyway, yeah, so we're looking for videographers. Library's Croc Fest is November 2nd. State election is November 5th. The town hall will be closed on the 27th and 28th. That's what, Thanksgiving and the day after?
Yes.
Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Christmas tree lighting is November 30th.
And that's, the rec doing that.
Yes.
So, do you have anything?
I have nothing.
Do you have anything else?
I went to the Mary Grant pumpkin
yes.
carving
Oh, yeah.
on Saturday. That was a lot of fun. They had a ton of kids there this year, I guess the most they've ever had.
Nice.
They did pumpkin carving, face painting. They had cookies to, frost and decorate. And then they, out on the paths, they took the little kids out trick or treat, and they had older kids out there with buckets and stuff. So it was, and they had a fire and food, and
Nice.
Nice job.
so it was nice. It turned out really nice.
I know I
Nice, so.
spoke to the chair when he mentioned, it's getting harder and harder to find people to donate the large amount of pumpkins or candies, so I told him we'd, maybe sit down after the holidays and
Yep.
figure out how we can maybe help him raise a little money for that, because it's a
Yeah.
great event and the town loves it.
Trunk or treat, that's coming
Oh,
right up.
trunk or
That's this-
treat.
Yes,
That's
trunk or
what,
treat
this-
weekend, I
this
think.
Saturday?
Yep.
This Saturday?
School.
Yep, down at the school. They're looking
Yes.
for more trunks, I guess, and
We have
Help.
lots of candy. The town has been very
Good.
generous with the candy, so.
beautiful. Okay.
They're looking for some help too at trunk or treat.
Yeah,
if
eighth
anybody
grade
wants-
and up.
Yeah,
So if you
eighth
have
grade
any
and up,
kids
so
or anybody.
if anybody has any
Community
high school
service, they
kids,
said.
yeah,
Yeah.
community service.
Closing ceremonies for soccer.
Soccer.
Are this weekend.
Yep, those are Saturday.
Saw that. Yep. So, and beans.
Yes,
And beans, don't
And
forget your beans.
Beans,
Dave was like,
beans.
I would throw some beans at her.
I had beans last night.
Sounds like we have a
Once a month, that's it.
commercial here in between. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn October 23rd.
I second that.
Move to second to adjourn, all in favor? All opposed? Good night, all.